All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I want to welcome everybody to the You Thrive Everyday show. Okay. And what we do here is I interview people that are courageous enough to tell us their stories. Okay. They're going to tell us the darker sides of their lives and how they persevered and how they started to thrive. My big deal is that everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be excited about living. They just don't know how to get there from where they're at. So these people telling their stories are going to tell you how they persevered and succeeded through their traumas and problems and all those great words. Okay. So today, dun, 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 we have a special guest. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. It's going to get juicy. So I would like to welcome Marnita.
Greetings, everyone. How you guys doing? I'm glad to be here today. Very, very happy to be here today.
Okay, so Marnita, tell everyone where you are from and where you're at now.
Okay, so I am originally from lovely San Diego, California. And as of right now, I am currently residing in Aurora, Colorado.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do here is we start from the beginning, right? Because everyone has colorful backgrounds. Everyone has colorful upbringings. And so we want to start with childhood or adolescence. So
Okay.
who did you grow up with? Who raised you? How was your kind of household upbringing?
Okay, so starting from the beginning, I was raised by a single mother, a very young single mother. My mom actually had me when she was 21, and back in 1979, that was pretty young. So that's very important to know before I go into the whole timeline of my life. When you are born to a young mother, there's a lot that she doesn't even know about herself yet, and a lot of experiences that she hasn't even had. So it's kind of hard to direct someone else. Again, she was single, but the family I was born into was a very strong family. We were highly multicultural. We have from Black, white, uh, Filipino, Mexican, all of that in our family. We were a very close family. Some of my uncles were in the Black Panther Party. I have an uncle that was very highly in the FOI Muslim movement. But then on the other hand, my grandma was a devout Catholic who, didn't want to have anything to do with Muslim. So it was very diverse. I came from a background of uh, a plethora of different perceptions of life, perceptions of religion, and how things should be done. So I like that because it made me more open-minded to experiences that I went through.
Okay. So now take us through childhood.
Okay, so
Okay.
yes. Oh, okay. So we're gonna go through a timeline, you guys. I've been preparing for this. I'm super nervous. Um, there's so many different reasons that I wanted to put this story out there. So it'll probably go by really fast, but here we go. Um, I didn't come from nothing. I can say that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up in the hood or anything like that, as you can tell by the way I speak. My grandmother was a very articulate person. She was always in the corporate field. She was one of my main influencers as I grew up. My mom, like I said, was very young and still partying and all over the place. So there wasn't, I would say, a lot of, heavy guidance, but I was definitely sheltered from what a lot of other people might have gone through. Growing up myself, I had my own room, always had everything that I needed, was actually kind of spoiled. But then on the other hand, I would go to my cousin's house, man, and we'd be sleeping on the floor and would have to go steal dinner from the corner store to eat that night. So it was a thing where, like, I was able to experience both sides of life as I was growing up. So with that being said, when I turned 14, I was, let's say, mature for my age. And, I just got into high school. And so my friends, the people that I started hanging around that lived around my neighborhood were, you know, 18 and up. These cats were, drug dealers and gang members and whatnot, and they thought I was cute and would like to take me places, and I was having fun. And unfortunately, that puts you in the wrong place at the wrong time sometimes, right? So at 14, I started drinking, I started smoking weed. And like I said, at the time, my mom was still a baby. She was, still going through her own growing pains. So she wasn't really too sure how to guide me correctly. But I was drinking and out there, cruising in cars, walking the streets with my girlfriends, and just doing way too much for such a young age. This went on until I was like 16. By the time I was 16, my mom had gone through some stuff, and let's just say she had evolved and caught her daughter at the right time. She sent me to go live with my cousin Sylvia in Los Angeles. I was in LA. Whoa,
And
culture shock.
why did she send you to LA?
Because it was time. I had to get out of there. Sometimes, and now that I'm a mother and a grown woman, I fully understand it. Environment is a big, big thing. And sometimes you need to be taken out of an environment where you're popular and everybody likes you and put into an environment where you are sitting on your butt and have your face in some school books, and that's all you're doing. So my cousin Sylvia lived in LA, and I didn't know anybody out there. And man, that was a culture shock, right? Like, growing up in San Diego, I could talk like a white girl, and maybe somebody in Southeast San Diego tell me I talk like a white girl. But other than that, nobody else cared, right? When I got to Los Angeles, man, shit was real. People were real out there, and doing drugs wasn't cool. That wasn't cute, right? Walking around with showing your young ass wasn't cool around the people that I was with. I was around some real adults and some real men that took the time to tell me, little girl, that's not the road you should be headed down, right? So that was a wonderful experience for me at the age of 16 to learn what it's like to be respected, and to want to, walk around like this, whereas before it was cute, I was being lied to and told that it was cute to wear the half tops because I got big boobs, and I got a big butt, so wear tight pants. No, 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 right? So I was there for a couple years, right? 18 years old. I went back home, went back to San Diego. People from San Diego are going to hate me for this, but let me tell you, every time I go back to San Diego, it seems like I fall back down. I'm not going to lie. Went back to San Diego at 18, had my stuff together, right? Had an apartment, had a great job, was doing my thing. Um, was still a little lost. When you are a young woman that grew up without a father, you don't know how to handle the opposite sex. You don't know, you really don't know how to love yourself completely, or how a man should love you, or what that even feels like coming from the opposite sex. So with that being said, me being independent on my own and thinking I knew everything, I was promiscuous. I was out there, my mom was living in LA at the time because I was a very independent person. I had been working since 16. So I didn't really, she was still growing up herself, so she had moved to LA, left me in San Diego, and I had my own apartment and everything. And I was doing good. I was,
So was
life was
the
good.
promiscuous thing kind
Mm,
of like the drug thing when you were a teenager, where it was
I,
fun?
yeah,
It wasn't
it was,
like you were like down and out or
well,
something was like really, really wrong. You were just having a good time.
honestly, at the time, if you would have asked me back then, I would say I was having a good time. As a grown woman, looking back at what I was going through, I was lost. I was sad, insecure, lonely, right? Looking for love and attention in all the wrong places. And usually, when you are vulnerable like that and you are open, um, they smell you,
Yes.
right? The wrong ones, they smell that, they look for that. So what they do is they attach to you and they misguide you. They take you in the wrong direction. And unfortunately, there are a lot of adults who look for that in young people. So I had some adults in my, I don't want to make it like I was just out there being crazy. Unfortunately, there were adults also partaking, like the people that were getting the drugs for us weren't others 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. These were adults that were saying, come in, let's go party,
Right.
right? Adults, grown men, hey, come on, let's go get drunk. Thank God. Thank God I always had an angel on my shoulder. So when it got real, whenever it got real scary, something would happen, right? My uncle would show up. I'd see him across the street, right? Somebody that I knew, one of his friends show up. What are you doing here, little girl? Go home. So for me, there was always an angel, but there were some girls out there that didn't have them, who are still lost today. But as far as
Okay.
I'm concerned, yeah.
So 16, you were kind of on the drug scene. Mom's
Hmm.
like, look, we got to get you the hell out of here. You got to get your shit together. So then
Yes.
you go to LA. So now
Yes.
now we're 18, we're a
Yes.
little promiscuous, we're
Yes.
sad, we're a little lonely, but
Yes.
still at this time it's feeding that desire of fun, you think, on a superficial level.
Well, to be honest with you, at that point in my life, the promiscuity was there for lack of knowing my worth, right?
Right.
But the reason why I was doing so well at the time is because there's always been this part of me. One thing about my mom, she's always drilled into me, you got to be independent, baby. You can't depend on nobody for nothing, right? She always said, you keep three things: you keep your own car, you keep your own place, and you keep a job. That way, nobody can ever have their hand around your neck. So that was drilled into me. So even being out there, check me out. There were times that I would be roaming the street with my girlfriends drinking, and I had a book. You guys look it up. It's called Mutant Message Down Under. I had that book curled up and in my back pocket. I would sit down every once in a while. Everybody's having a good time. I would sit down and read from this book because even though I was out there a little lost, I still had things drilled into me. Like I said, my uncles and them were from the Black Panther Party. So you got to understand, like, there were talks. I was given books. Education was drilled into me because I was so smart. No matter what, you don't stop learning because you cannot waste that, right? So even though I was promiscuous at the time, that was more with me. At 18, you're still learning who you are and learning what loving yourself really is, right?
Exactly.
So I'm out there. I was doing good. I was killing the game. I was sober. I had my own job, my own place. I had started community college, right? I was a little behind in my bills. The universe had blessed me, and I had received financial aid. That financial aid was enough to pay my rent, pay my bills, put food in my refrigerator, and get me a new outfit, right? So I was on top of the world, girl. I had sat down, wrote out all my checks, put them jokers in the envelopes, put that shit in my backpack, and I was on my way to school. What's up? So I'm on the bus, I got the headphones on, and my mind is just all over the new steps I'm going to take, the new me. I'm in it to win it. I'm doing it right. I get off the bus, I go to class, I'm ready, I'm there. Man, I turn around and go get a pen out of my backpack. My heart ended up in my ass. My backpack was not there. $3,000 gone. Everything was gone. My plans, my new way out, the new me was gone, yo. I cried for 2 hours at that school before I walked my sorry ass back home. I got home, and like I said, when you're vulnerable, they smell you. One of my neighbors was a hoe, right? She was beautiful. I thought she was beautiful. I befriended her when I first moved there because she was cool, and I was intrigued by her lifestyle, right? Even though it wasn't for me, because I would never do something like that, right? I was intrigued by it. She was older. She knew what she was doing. At the time, she was 27. I was 18. She's telling me about this glamorous lifestyle, how she has money, gets her nails done, and pays her rent. She just got to spend a little time with a dude here and there, right? So she's feeding me the game on it. And I'm eating it up. I'm a baby. What am I supposed to know, right? I come home a week later. I'm not going to put her name out there, but she comes over. She's like, "What's wrong, girl?" I was just like, "Man, this just happened to me. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I don't know what I'm going to do." "Well, why don't you take a little trip with me to LA?"
Mm.
What? Come on, I promise you, you'll have rent, everything you need. And I'll be there with you the whole time. You don't got to worry about nothing. It'll be quick, over, and easy. Sold me. I said, "Well, okay, you're so pretty, girl. You ain't got to worry about nothing. I have a friend of mine. He just got out of jail." These are grown ass people. These
Yeah.
are motherfucking adults, yo. "I got a friend of mine just got out of jail. He'll take good care of you. He won't let nothing happen to you." Mama, 2 weeks later, that nigga was in my house taking pictures of my tits, taking pictures of my titties to put them on a magazine because I just knew I was going to have $1 million in 2 months. I wasn't going to have to worry about nothing because I'm
Okay.
pretty. I got perky boobs, right? So fast forward maybe a month later, after being prepped for it, right? They took me to LA. I went to LA with them and did what I had to do. And it fucking sucked. To all you young ladies out there, because right now in San Diego, it's a fucking epidemic. Don't let them fool you, baby. It hurts. It takes away from your spirit. Don't do it. It's never worth it. It's never worth it. So I did it, and I sold a little bit of my soul that night. And then I sold a little bit more of my soul. Because at this point now, I'm smoking primos. If you guys know what that is, it's bad, right? They got me smoking primos. Very smart though. You get me, you get them high, then they keep working because now they want to keep getting high, right?
Right.
So at the time, my mom was in LA, and she had no idea what was going on. I hadn't even called her because I was so fucking ashamed. But I was grown though. I was taking care of business. I'm making money. I ain't making no damn money. I'm smoking primos and giving it to that man. A mess, right? So finally, one day I was in LA, in uh, on Sunset Boulevard, in fact, and that was my last night out there. Something happened where I should have died.
Breathe, Marnita.
I love the
You muted yourself.
day.
Okay.
Every day. I give thanks every day. I should have died out there, family, but the universe got me back safe, and that was all I needed. I called my mom and I said, "Mommy, I need to come home." She had no idea. She was like, "What? What's going on?" I got home and I told my mom what I had been doing. She was crushed. By this point, my mom had elevated her spirituality. She was amazing. She is amazing. She had honed her spiritual everything, and the universe has everything right on time. She was more than ready for me when I got to her, right? 18, got went back to LA, but this time I was with my mom, my evolved mother who was ready, and all her beautiful evolved spiritual friends, baby. I went to the African marketplace fair, and I was dressing in rappas, and I had started my locks, baby, and just became new, right? And so we're doing this. I'm in LA. Fast forward a couple years, I'm like 22, right? I'm living in Baldwin Hills. If anybody knows where Baldwin Hills is, that's money. That's beautiful place, right off of Crenshaw. That's back in the day, though. I'm talking about back 2000s, right? Where Baldwin Hills was still where it was at. So I had a beautiful place in Baldwin Hills. I was working in Van Nuys at a geology company, making money, 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 messing with this crazy dude. Um, Found out he just became obsessive. Everything was beautiful except for his ass, right? He was obsessive and crazy. I thought I loved him, so I told him about my past, right? When I was out there and shit. So this cat would use it against me. He used it to, you know, there are some sociopaths and narcissists that are out there that know how to break you down mentally. First, they bring you up.
Yeah.
They build you up, tell you how wonderful you are, and you're just the best thing, right? And then once they see that you need that or that you're used to that, then they start chopping you down slowly but surely. And then they start, then you're not you anymore, right? Because you're completely reliant on their okay of you. And you know, you're weak. So I was with this fool, another older man, crazy as fuck. Yo, they crazy. So, anyways, he was older, so he knew how to what the game was. He knew how to play the mental game. He was a cheater. I mean, he would mentally and I mean verbally, the verbal abuse. With being overweight, that's already something there, right? And so for somebody to make you feel like that didn't matter, and then all of a sudden, that's why they are disgusted by you, that shit's crazy. So
Yeah.
verbal abuse. Then he hit me. I hit him back a little too hard, and so he fucked me up. And I was on the floor looking up at a man that I thought loved me, on the floor with my jaw swollen, right? Next morning, we go to breakfast and everything is okay. I can barely talk, but yet I'm still here. And I don't understand it because I've seen physical abuse with other women. And I've told myself time and time again, I would never deal with that shit, right? And here I am sitting at breakfast with the man who hit me in my jaw and I can't even chew up my motherfucking omelet. And he's mad because he doesn't want nobody to see that I can't chew my omelet. It's real shit. I stayed with that man for another year, but I went into survival mode. I wrote bad checks. I lied. I conned. I did everything it took to get the fuck away from him. I had some friends that I knew back, like when I was 18, that lived in Connecticut at the time. I was like 23. And I called up my brother. His name is Mikey. I love you, Mikey. I always love you. So, anyways, I called him up and I said, I'm trying to escape. I need somewhere to go. He said, come right now. Get you a plane ticket. I don't care. Come right now. So I told that guy, I don't want to put his name out there, but I told my ex, right, this guy, that my cousin in Philly was having a funeral and I needed to go out there and they were sending for me. And that I would be back home in a couple of weeks and I would call him and all this shit, right? I told him I was going to Philly. Got on the plane and went to Connecticut and started my life over. I was 23 years old, man. And I had just escaped an abusive relationship on my own, right? Because I knew it was time.
Right.
I knew it was time. I said, this fool's gonna kill me, yo. So that thing my mom always instilled in me, right? It has to go back to the upbringing. You don't need no one, do it yourself. My uncles, seeing real strong men, I said, no, that's not for me. This is not my reality, right? The universe was, as soon as you make the right decision, the universe lays out your path. I went to go buy a plane ticket for Connecticut. Baby, that plane ticket was $110 one way from San Diego, California to Connecticut. What?
Wow.
$110? jumped on it. I had $20 in my pocket and one suitcase of old clothes. And I went to go to Connecticut and stayed with my boy. Everything was good from there. I went out there, started doing ecstasy, but I'm a little older. So now I know how to go out and party on the weekends and still go to work. I mean, it's not good, but at least I'm still moving, right? I'm not like a bum or nothing. This is what I'm telling myself. Marnita, it's okay, right? You still get up and go to work. Let's go party. So I do that. Huh? All right, we'll find him in a second. All right, I'm sorry, that's my baby. Okay, so I'm like, it's all good. Fast forward, I'm partying. We're out there. We're doing ecstasy. We're doing coke. We're tripping. We're smoking weed. We're drinking. We're having a great fucking time. I'm making good money. My friends is making good money, and I'm out there boning whoever I want to, right? Because I'm single now. Still silly. Still haven't learned how to love myself, right? Still looking for love in the wrong places. So then I meet my now husband. He was 22, I was 23, and we were partying together, right? That was my party buddy. Every weekend, we looked for each other because we could hang, yo. We were friends. So we did. We went hard. We went pretty damn hard for about a year or two. And then I got pregnant with my oldest baby girl. Um, thank God. I'd be dead without that child, man. Had my baby, took my tongue ring out, right? I had pierced tongue, all that shit. Took my tongue ring out and became a mom. And it did. It changed my life. I straightened up. Me and my husband straightened up. That fool, he stopped smoking weed for 4 years. He couldn't get high. He would try to smoke some weed and he'd get all paranoid around the baby. He didn't want to be around her. He, oh no, she's gonna know I'm high. You know, it's so sweet. So we did good for a while, girl. Like 3 years, mama. We were sober. You know, he wasn't smoking weed. All I was doing was smoking some cannabis now and then, right? No drinking, no nothing. And then it happened. And then the negative energy came. Somebody came into our lives and changed our lives forever. We were introduced to, and I not to put my husband out there, it's very important. But let's just say we were introduced to an evil that neither one of us had ever experienced nor were ready for. In an evil that has taken down great men, much greater than us. And so we battled with that demon. We moved to North Carolina trying to get away from the demon. And he was there waiting for us when we got there, right? He was there waiting for us and he was disguised as a friend. And he ruined our lives. He ruined us. We were worse than we had ever been, lost with children. So I left my husband, my now husband. I left him in 2011 and I went home. 2011, I went back to San Diego.
So this demon that you guys encountered
Yeah.
was a friend that introduced some.
No, let's say this. It was all one. The friend introduced the demon into our lives.
I got
A
you.
demon that took many hard years to get rid of. Anyone who knows about addiction, it's never gone. It's never gone. A smell triggers it, a smell, a thought, something on TV. Now, today, I deal with it. I've been sober since 2014. In 2015, the demon tried to come back into my life. And I tasted it, and it was disgusting. It was disgusting. It reminded me of that that shell of a person I used to see when I looked in the mirror.
Right.
I said, hell no. Cut you off. That person that called me with that shit, goodbye. Don't, how dare you? Don't you ever again. So we were in Sandy. I went back home in 2011. I was
And so were you going home to clean up, or
I
were
was
you?
going home to clean up. I kissed my husband. You know, I'm telling you, I talked to him. I said, I have to go. I almost died again. I almost OD'd. I doing coke. Went to had this girl that I was working with, right? And she's dead now. I'm gonna say her name. It's
Breathe, Marnita. Breathe, Marnita.
her name.
Slow
Her
your
name
breathing
is
down. Slow your breathing down. Yes.
her name is Pamela, and I
Wow.
loved her. I just needed to say that. But I was with her, and she was dating like one of the biggest drug dealers in North Carolina. And she was like, come on, girl, let's go have some fights. Fuck yeah. Man, there was so much damn coke. I was doing so much fucking coke and drinking moonshine. Damn. I did a line and I started sweating profusely. I got hot all of a sudden and I got scared because I know what that is. I got real hot and I started sweating and I was shaking. Close my door. Now. No. Hold on. That's my little one. Give me 1 second. Um, I was shaking real hard and I was having an overdose. I was at the beginning of an overdose, right? And I went to the bathroom and I was putting cold water, breathing. And I was telling myself, Marnita, nobody knows you're here. Nobody knows you're here. You have two babies at home. I didn't get home that morning. Needless to say, the universe brought me through it and I made it home. I got home at like 8 a.m. the next morning. I had been with my husband for 10 years prior to that. Never once have either one of us ever let the sun beat us home. I came home and I told my husband, I'm leaving. I said, I just OD'd. And the universe brought me back to life and brought me home. I said, I have to leave because we are codependent at this point.
Mm.
We are not together because we love each other anymore. At that point, we hadn't had sex in like 2 years. That was my best friend. He was all I knew, so it didn't matter, right? And a month later, I went to San Diego and talked to my aunt. I told her I needed to leave my husband. She said she needed to move out of her house and needed somebody to take over rent. The universe. I transferred my job and I got my plane tickets, packed all of our shit, shipped our shit out to San Diego. And 2 months later, I was out. I was gone, me and my babies. And so we went to San Diego and I was heartbroken and disappointed in both me and my husband. I was embarrassed for my children for what they had to be a part of.
It's okay. It's okay. Remember that we have gone through this. It's over. Like you prevailed. You succeeded.
You guys don't take advantage of the time you have with your young ones. You be the best you can be because it's going to hurt if you're not. So, anyways, we get to California. I have my, I have a job, but I was trying to pay a $1,500 a month rent on a waitress's salary because I was a waitress at Olive Garden. I was making good money, but not that good, right? So we were struggling. Um, Moved back in with my grandma. We lost the place. We lost it. We couldn't take it. We couldn't handle the rent. So my cousins moved in instead, and I moved out and went to go live with my grandma. But when I was with my grandma, man, my grandma, my auntie Lori, they got they shit. Boom. Always, right? Bills paid before due date. Never played any games, just knew how to do money. Knew my grandma was an accountant for Xerox for 20 years. So they knew about budgeting and all that stuff. So going to their house, that was one thing about my grandma's house. Like you can always come back home, right? But if you come home, you can't be on no bullshit. You have to be going to school. You have to be working. You have to pay rent. And my auntie Lori would set up a savings account for you. So what she did was I would go to work, give her my check, and then she would put part of my check to the side and save it for me so I can get my apartment. I started working two jobs. I had to get out of my grandma's house. Within 6 months, I had my own place. I met I met my youngest son's father when I was living there, and yeah, let me just say this: I life wouldn't be the same without Keon. So many people told me to get an abortion when I had him. So many people told me that it would fail. So many people told me, his dad. Are you crazy? Are you fucking crazy? Um, but I met him, and it was let's just say it was a learning experience being with someone older. He was about 8, 10 years older. He is about 8, 10 years older, and it was 2 years of I got to say this about him. I got my little feelings hurt a lot, right? But then on the other hand, man, I learned a lot about myself. I mean, like a lot about myself. Everything I had went through with Sal, going through all that, I didn't realize how mentally young I still was. That that growing up process never had happened until I was with an older man. And that older man was like, no, that's not how a grown woman is supposed to act, right? Things like, I'm not going to pat you on the back for doing what a grown woman is supposed to do in the first
Hmm.
place. I'm not going to love you because you want me to. I'm not going to change my lifestyle because you want. You have to make the decision whether you're going to be here or not. And then if you are, then man up, right?
Mm.
So, being with him for 2 years, I learned a lot about myself and I grew up, right? He hurt my feelings, so what? I love that man forever because without him, I wouldn't have been able to elevate my mentality truly. So I was with him for 2 years, had Keon. Then it got bad. I had my beautiful son Keon Gozi, and when when he was about, I'd say, 8 months to a year, uh, that motherfucker came back around. That demon, you know, that demon came back, and I wanted to be skinny. I'm not gonna lie. I said, why not? I could lose this weight. I'm not breastfeeding anymore. I could lose this weight in 2 months. Exercise, it'll take me a year. And if anybody's ever been on crystal meth, man, that shit it's wicked. It's wicked. If you know somebody on it, have empathy, baby. It's hard. It's wicked. It not only it distorts your mind, It doesn't just not make you eat. It doesn't just make you move around fast. It doesn't just rot your teeth. It degenerates your mind, and it it eats at who you are. Okay? It eats at who you are. It feeds your insecurities, and you become the insecurity. When I was high and skinny, I used to like to take a lot of selfies, right? Because the lie was telling me I was beautiful and I needed the drug to stay this way. So if you look at on my timeline, right, from the years of like 2000, that 2013, all those pictures, all those skinny knees, I was high as a kite, living in and out of hotels, yo. I started doing that shit, and I'm telling you, 6 months later, I lost everything. I lost my job. I lost my apartment. I lost friends. I lost respect. I lost my fucking mind. I thought I was going schizophrenic. It was to a point where I was hearing voices doing that shit.
And so were your kids still with you, or you were
Yeah.
leaving them with family?
This is my thing. Now that I look back, I could have left them with family. I don't want to paint that picture like there was no family. No, there was family. I could have definitely sent them to my grandma's house, but I'd be dead right now if I had.
Right.
Period. I was because of the guilt of doing the drug, because of who I had previously built myself up to be. By this time I'm in my 30s. I'm not a little girl anymore, right? So I'm a grown woman, and who I had the reputation of who I was so ashamed, but I couldn't stop doing it. So even for my kids, I was just very secretive. There were lots of people who did not know. If you weren't close to me and in my space, or if somebody close to me didn't tell you, right? You wouldn't know. You would just think I was losing a lot of weight and maybe be curious if you knew about what meth does, right? So that was part of the whole eating away. So I did that for 6 months, lied to myself, hid it from everybody, was living the lie, going schizophrenic, going crazy. One night, I went to the liquor store to get some cigarettes, right? And by this point, we were living in my car. My husband now had left San Diego. Me and him got bad. Oh my God, we got bad. It was ugly, and he left. Thank God. He left and went back home to Connecticut to go get his shit together. He went back home to his mom, and I'm so glad he did. But I stayed in San Diego. I thought it was bad. We were living in out of hotels. We were living in the car. I went one night at this night, we were actually staying at one of my friend's house, sleeping on their floor. And we were at a liquor store, right? I was getting cigarettes, and I was talking to my mom, or somebody was in the car with me, and I turned around and I looked, and there was this bum, right? This lady sitting on the light post. And she was just sitting there. She had some bags around her and shit, and I kind of felt sorry for her, but was going on about my business. This woman said, "Hey." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Let me talk to you. Now, let me tell you, this was many years ago, and I was high at the time, so I don't know verbatim, but the gist of it is," she said, "Man, I got here 4 years ago. I had my own trailer." She said, "No, not a trailer, a Winnebago. I had my own motorhome. I had my own motorhome, my own business. I was traveling. I was doing good. Now look at me. I've lost everything. I have nothing. Don't let that happen to you. Hold up. Yo, if the universe has ever talked to you, if you've ever looked in the eyes of the universe, it does something to your insides. There's no words for it. I can't explain. I looked at that woman. There was no bum there. Life was there. Living, talking to me, breathing, warning me. I'm not going to lie. I've never told anybody this. 3 days prior to that, I had a feeling they were going to come take my babies. I felt it in my soul. They were going to come take my life from me if I didn't do something about it because I was neglecting my life.
Yeah.
The universe looked me in the eyes and said, "You got one chance, little girl, and then you're going to learn," right? Enough said. Enough said. I threw that fucking pipe away, baby. I went back to the house and I threw that shit away. I saw my children sleeping. I threw that shit the fuck away and gained a little bit of my soul back. And it felt like heaven. My body was aching. I was hurt. I wanted to make a call. The call I made was to my friend Giselle. She was living in Illinois at the time. I hadn't talked to her in 10 years. But the universe said, call. And she answered. And the sound of her voice was the truth. And I said, Giselle, I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up. I'm homeless. And I don't know what to do. And she said, don't cry. I love you. Get you a ticket out to Illinois. You come stay with me. She said, I'm in a 2-bedroom trailer with my mom, my 3 kids, my dad, and their 3 dogs. But we got room for you guys. What? Bye? What? Mama. So I looked in the mirror that day and saw a warrior. I put an ad in the paper to sell my car. 3 days later, it was sold. I threw away everything I owned. I had 4 bags, maybe a couple of suitcases, a diaper bag because my little one was barely 2. And I called my cousin Sakari. She was there in a heartbeat. She was there in a heartbeat and asked no questions. She said, bye, Nee. I love you. I was like, I love you too, Mike. We were at the Greyhound station. And I called my baby dad. And I told him that I was taking his son out of state. Now, let me tell you, as a mother, I don't care. You know, that guy never hit me. You know, he was good. He tried, right? He did. He tried. And so for that, I felt guilty for taking him baby from him. I did. So he brought his ass down to this train station, to the bus station, to say goodbye to his son. I wanted to give him that chance, but so he came to say goodbye. And we got on the bus. We had to catch the bus to LA to get the train to Illinois. So we boarded the bus and I said goodbye to San Diego for the last time. You know, I said goodbye to San Diego and to him. for the last time. And I got to Illinois. I mean, we got to LA, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. The buses weren't running anymore. We were downtown Los Angeles, just me and these three babies. No jackets, no nothing. Trying to get to the train station to get to Illinois. Um, Somebody directed us to a bus that was still running that can get us about a block away from the train station. We got on the bus, and there was this big dude on the bus, and he was way overweight. You know, he could barely breathe, but he was so sweet, man, and he felt comfortable. Right? We're in LA, and I'm scared to death. I ain't gonna lie. Downtown LA, the freaks come out at night. If you've ever been on a bus in the early hours in Los Angeles, it's scary. Period. Right? But this guy felt comfortable, and he was just very soothing. And when we got off, we told him that we were on our way to the train station, and he got off with us, and he was carrying our bags. He carried our bags all the way to the train station. We get there. We missed our original train, and it was crushing. We were in LA, no money, no house, no phone, nowhere to go, nothing. The lady, I started crying. The lady told me, "Hold on." She did something like that, and she said, "If you run, there's a train leaving in 10 minutes, take you to Chicago." What? What? You fucking kidding me? She said, "I don't know. Just get there now." The universe. That guy saw it. He doing this with all them bags, but we gonna make it to the train, right? We get to the train, and in my memory, I want to say that I saw him leave, but honestly, in my memory, I don't even remember him actually leaving. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the universe, right? That was an angel. So we're crying. We made it. We're crying. We get on the train. I have a bag full of snacks, right? And an EBT card, but no money. So as we're going to our seat, I don't even remember at this point if we're still walking to our seat, if we had sat down yet, but there was a gentleman with a hat on. Interesting. A suit and hat on. And he said, "I heard you guys out there, and I want to give you something." And so he went to shake my hand. Like, I don't know if you guys got aunts and uncles from the old school, there's an old school way that people used to pass things in the palm of their hand, right?
Yeah.
So that's what he did. Hey, what you talking about? Right, what you talking about? So that's what he did. So I knew he had something good in his hand for us, right? I'm thinking it's $20. We're gonna eat tonight. It's $100 bill, mama. Me and my kids had dinner in the train car that night. Four days. 4 days it took us to get to Illinois. We get to Chicago, and it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen in my life. Chicago was tall and brown and alive, and it smelled different. And there was energy that I'd never felt in my life. And I knew I was home, right? I knew I was okay. So we go to Mendota. Mendota is 2 hours outside of Chicago. But I ain't gonna lie, it's actually about an hour and a half. I was always in Chicago. We go to Mendota because Chicago, it's man, you drink from that cup, man. You drink from that cup, you walk down them streets, man. It's alive, and it's brown. Browns, different colors of browns. The people are alive out there. You go down one block, there's people out there that are millionaires. You go down the next block, and it's the hood. But everybody is living together. It was amazing for me to be in that environment. So we're in Mendota and we're in this trailer. That independence was instilled again, right? I got there November of 2014. By December of 2014, I had a job. By January 1st of 2014, I was in my own spot. That is the exact timeline. It took me 2 months to get a job and then save up enough. Well, let me not lie, the universe came in. I had my EBT card. I was getting cash assistance at the time. I was not supposed to get cash assistance for that month. I went to go check my card, right? That's right. I went to go check my card to see if there was money for food because I wanted to put food in my girlfriend's house for letting me and my kids stay there, right? So I was going to go buy them a bunch of groceries. And, I said, oh, your food balance is such and such and such. Your cash balance is $800. I was like, what? I said, get in the car. We got to hit up like 3 ATMs right now. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, man. We went and hit up like 3 ATMs, took $300, 200. Got my cash. I hit my girl with $300. We went and bought a bunch of food, and I took the other $500 and put a fucking down payment on an apartment. It was like a beat up kind of apartment. So I made a deal with the landlord. I told him, hey, if I come in here and clean this up, you don't even got to clean it up. I'll come in here and clean it up. You take half of the deposit off. He went with it. So that next month we were in our apartment. 3 months after that, we got a notification that we were accepted into the low income housing. We had us a 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhome. And we were there. If you're into astrology, you know about Saturn transits. So I was in my Saturn transit the whole time I was in Illinois. I didn't relapse. I didn't go back to drugs, but I did start drinking, promiscuity, right? Confusion, making wrong money decisions, selfishness, self-pity, just the bullshit, you know. I ended up in North Carolina. Left Illinois like a fool. Oh my goodness, left Illinois, went to North Carolina to do even worse. I was in Illinois. I was in North Carolina living in hotel rooms. There was one time we got bed bugs for being in the wrong fucking hotel because it was cheap. I was trying to keep it. It was a damn mess the
So
whole time.
why did you end up leaving Chicago or Illinois?
I ended up leaving Illinois to chase a job and a man.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, the wrong man, right? The whole time I'm in Illinois, my now husband, is in Connecticut doing the best. He went to Connecticut, he got off drugs, he got a great job, he was saving his money, he got him an apartment. He was looking so beautiful. I was so proud of him. And that's one thing about him. He's a very intelligent person with a good work ethic. Even when we were at our worst, that dude always kept a job. You know what I'm saying? And so I admire him outside of being with him. I do. As a person, I admire him and what he has the strength to accomplish. And that's why I think I keep him around me, because he makes me want to level up at all times. So I'm in North Carolina acting like a fucking bum, and he's in Connecticut doing the best, right? 6 months prior to that, he was doing so good, and I wasn't doing as good. I took my kids to Connecticut. At this point, my kids had been with their dad for like 8 months now because he was doing so good. And I'm sitting in North Carolina with this man. He wasn't the fool. I was the fool, right? Chasing some stupid shit. When my now husband was there every time I called, every time I needed money, every time I needed to cry, right? Every time I needed my ego stroked, this guy is there. So I'm sitting in North Carolina on bullshit, and I thought the universe said to me, you better go home now before you can't go home. You know, he's not just beautiful to you, right? And if he is displaying the qualities, fuck what he did back then. We were both stupid, right? If he's displaying the qualities now that you are looking for in a king, at this point, I'm not looking for a man anymore. I need a king because of who I am trying to become, right? If he's displaying that, you better stop acting stupid because there's 50 other queens that are on levels higher than you right now that are looking at him too, right? He wasn't dating administrative assistants. This cat was dating dentists, goddamn veterinarians and stuff. So I called him. I said, I want to come home. He said, check and see what time the bus is leaving.
Yes.
I was out the next morning. Me and my baby got on that Greyhound bus, and I ain't gonna lie, April, I hadn't slept in a whole month. I got on the Greyhound bus and I slept for 4 hours, curled up like this on a hard ass seat. I hadn't slept that good in a month, right? We got to his house because uh, Salvatore is my older two's father. Jasmine Vincent Kiangozi is uh, the guy I left in San Diego. That's his son. But Sal has been around Keon since Keon was 5 months old. So that's all Keon really knows is Sal, right? So when we got to the house, I just cried, right? And he's beautiful. He's beautiful. And my baby, I looked at Keon, and Keon crawled up on his couch and he slept till the next day. Right? I said, okay, I'm not going anywhere else. It was rough at first because we had to learn each other again. I had to get over my guilt with my kids, man. I felt so guilty for not that I left them with somebody that they didn't need to be with, but I felt like I gave up, right? By you're supposed to keep your babies. They ride with you. That if you don't have your kids, that's why you sink, because they're your life. So when I trying to get back into the groove with my babies, it was hard, but we got married a year later. We're sober, right? We don't even barely drink. We smoke cannabis. We're heavy cannabis smokers. We're really big into all the things that cannabis does. We go to conventions. It's just such a different outlook on life. We were in Connecticut, and this is how it went. When you are on that right path, everything flows. We both came out. He's a Virgo and I'm a Pisces, so we were in the Saturn transit together, came out of this Saturn transit together. We got married after a year. 3 months after we got married, we moved to Colorado. We were in a 3-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment for a year, bought our first home. Right now we own a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, quarter-acre lot house. He's gotten back into HVAC. He's making more money than he's ever made in his life. I've started my own business. I have a small business that's been in business for in February of the year.
What is
We
that?
communicate. Your epiphany. Okay, so there's 2 businesses. I just picked up a second business. The main one is Your Epiphany. We actually handcraft healing uplifting products because of the diversity of it. We handcraft natural scare. We put together sage bottles. My mom actually makes handcrafted jewelry that is charged with Reiki energy. A lot of them, everything is made with certain stones that promote healing. Some of them promote anxiety relief. So she has that. She's a spiritual advisor. So all that is done through your epiphany. We also have just joined a community called Up to Give, where we're actually trying to get people to get into cryptocurrency, to learn about it. We've started groups that is all about educating people in wealth and how to build wealth for their kids and their kids' kids. So, in a matter of, you know, the biggest part is the last 5 years. The last 5 years, it took me 35 years to actually become a woman, right? At this point, I feel like at this point in my life, I'm a grown woman. I have made mistakes. I have learned from those mistakes. I have apologized. And I'm in the process of forgiving self. But the goal is to become goddess, right? Is to get to that level of transcendence, right? Um, where there is no question about anything. So that's where I'm at.
Wow!
And we're thriving. We're fucking thriving, baby. What's up? And there's no stopping, and that's it. We just keep going, just like this. Do 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 do. That's all I see.
Yes, Marnita. Yes, girl. Yes. Now I
That's
know you
it. That's
you
it.
also going back to what it is you're doing now, you also have a group,
Yes.
right? So explain this group.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so there is a need for information, right? Life is happening. Everything that we know right now is about to be turned upside down. And the reason why we don't know this is because we are not fed information that lets us know. So my mother and I, through our years, um, we have, let's say, met people who have information. We have networked with other people who have information, and we had all this information. So we decided to create a group. All right. And I'm not going to lie. The reason why I started the group is because I wanted to know how to get this information out there, get mass exposure, but weed out what I like to call the goofies, right? I was first putting informational posts on my personal page. Nobody would like it. Nobody wanted to read the article. Nobody paid attention. But I put some goofy, some silly stuff out there. I got 100 likes. So that
Right.
started pissing me off because it takes a lot of energy, right? It takes a lot of energy to do this for people, not only to do the research, but then to relay that information out there. So it was pissing me off. So I knew that there were people who wanted the information. So I was like, how do I weed out the people who I don't need to see?
Hold on,
So
Marnita.
we
Your
came up with the
video
group.
went out.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, oh, snap. Okay. Okay, so basically we created the group Making Moves with YE to basically bring you or invite you on our journey into financial literacy, investments, cryptocurrency, and long-term wealth. So through this group, we actually put up articles, we put up information. So, okay, so in the group Making Moves with YE, basically with that group, we are inviting you on our journey into financial literacy, into entrepreneurship.
So we're having some technical difficulty, guys. For some reason, they're not wanting Marnita to talk about her group. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys. So her group, she talks a lot about passive income, and she's really schooling people about cryptocurrencies. It's the new wave. To be super honest, Mel Gibson recently did an interview that they tried to stop him from going public with this interview. The interview was also posted all over Facebook, everywhere, and it has now been taken down. So that lets you know how serious this cryptocurrency is. So you guys go to Making Moves with YE and check her out. We want to give a special thanks to Marnita for sharing her heartfelt story. It's a very difficult story to tell. I appreciate you guys' support. And I'm thankful just for all the lessons that we are learning. I have so many more interviews coming up with so many people with different stories of their difficulties and their triumphs. It is so near and dear to all of our hearts that we put this message out here for you guys, because we are in a time frame where our masses, okay, us humans, the masses, are needing to really thrive. We're needing to forget everything that we have been taught, okay, and delve in to some new knowledge, delve into research, delve in to, just like you go to work every day, yourself and your happiness is also your work. Okay, we have been taught that that is not important, and that's the whole purpose. So that's my goal, that's my purpose here, is to show people how to thrive through my life experiences. I am a vibrational magnet, so I will be attracting people who have the same spirit, who are wanting us to progress. That is our goal. What do we get out of it? Us winning as a collective consciousness. That's what we get out of it. Okay. So I want to thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are loved. Okay. And we will see you on the next episode of You Thrive Every Day. Okay. So love you guys. Have a miraculous day, and we will talk soon. Hold on. I'm trying to. There you go.